Greetings. So I've been kind of wrestling with this thing, this whole no kings thing, okay? The messaging is off. It's all bad. The start of it, of course, we know was Arabella Advisors on behalf of the CIA, and it was more anti-Trump stuff. It was just, hey, we're going to undermine the Trump presidency this time, rather than try to sell all the liberals and all the idiots and all the people on why Hillary lost and can blame it on, Russia, right? So that Russiagate was kind of one of the first answers to that. And they also blamed Bernie bros and lazy slackers, the millennials who wouldn't vote enough, and they blamed everybody except Hillary and her lack of a platform. An ability to smile. So can't look at any, no self-reflection from the Democrats, and therefore that's why they continued to completely suck and, lose and stuff, right? No platform, no likable candidates. Instead, they stayed right with the super pro-Israel, stuck, CIA captured. And the more mentally incapacitated you were, kind of the better, because you're going to be going along with some really horrible stuff, and they don't really want you thinking, making your own decisions. So Biden, perfect, right? Or Kamala, also perfect, right? But, but now we got this no kings thing, okay, organized by them, and that's lame. But nonetheless, there is no other protest movement. There's no peace movement to speak of. There's lots of people that just hate Trump, and they've just got Orange Man bad on their breath every minute. But they haven't figured out a way to turn that into like a viable protest, or to kind of actually analyze what he is doing. What is because of Donald Trump, or his ego, or his agency, or his ability, his fight with the state, the police state, whatever it is, are going along with, or being captured by Israel, or any of those things. There's never any discussion of these things. In fact, Trump is never seen in terms of being a captured president of the United States, right? Which they all are since JFK was killed. Let's face it, since the CIA and the mob and Israel and everything killed JFK, and what was that, 1963, we haven't really had a president, right, that's separate from the other powers that be. The other powers that be, quote unquote, took over, kind of captured everything. We haven't really had the guts to admit that or talk about it. And so we still kind of dance along this partisan dance, oh my God, Bill Clinton is just going to be so different than Bush, right? Bill Clinton's going to be really different. He wouldn't just let Robert Rubin from Goldman Sachs come into his cabinet and take over now, would he? Bill Clinton wouldn't do that. He wouldn't allow the same military entities to control his presidency that controlled Bush. He wouldn't just keep going along with PNAC, like their bad plan, their design, right? The Carlyle Group and Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney. And it was okay for liberals to talk about that back then because he had an R. Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney and, of course, George Bush had an R by their name. In other words, they were Republicans. So the completely duped partisan diptards could actually talk about that, describe that, critique that. There was a big critique of the Iraq War, 2003, very astute critique, lots of action, shut down freeways, surrounded Bechtel buildings, appropriate targets, stuff like that, showing some intelligence, some real resistance. Back then, DSA, was it, not DSA, direct action to stop the war, DASA, we're super cool, we're like activists, seasoned activists, we're really cool. And, so anyway, that was then, that's that time. Now we got this fake no kings thing. Okay, but like I said, there's nothing else. So then in your city, if you want to protest war in Iran or the capture of everything by the deep state, or the fact that we have this, faux oppositional clown as a president, totally captured by Israel and the CIA. If you want to protest that or something, you can. No Kings is there, and they still have a lot of money. There's new NGO, nonprofit kind of dark money funding channels. So the No Kings protests are really well funded. They have a budget for advertising. They print uniform literature with the logo and all this kind of stuff. They're doing all this kind of stuff that a real left should be doing, right? If they was one. So I have this critique of it, but at the same time, I say support it. You know what I mean? Because there's nothing else, or try to make it better. Okay, so don't go out there and just get no kings, dude. Actually go out there and educate. Bring your flyer, bring your stuff, explain to people. And then I would say, let's go for this next time, May 1. They have another one. They're calling it the General Strike. I also think it's really bad to use a word like General Strike when you're not going to do that. It's like if I threaten somebody next to me, I say, listen, man, you have pushed me one too many times, and now I'm going to really kick your ass. And then I don't do anything to him, right? So now I have no credibility. I'm impotent, right? My words don't mean anything. And that's kind of what they're doing to the left with this No Kings thing. And with General Strike, I'm going to go for General Strike, right? So at the No Kings thing the other day, they weren't collecting names and emails and stuff to organize people to attend, help support the General Strike. They weren't doing any outreach, really, as No Kings. Now, there was different tables there for different nonprofits. It's always kind of a booth of like a parade of like nonprofit tables at the end of the event, a little, just stop by our booth and here's our cute booth and booths, But anyway, so they weren't really acting like they were going to organize a strike, let alone a general strike. A general strike means everybody stops working, just complete shutdown, right? It usually takes a long time to organize a general strike. It usually comes at the end of a bitter labor struggle and lots of class consciousness and awareness and time in the fight, and then you get the general strike, right? Well, they're just gonna, woo, No Kings, general strike, woohoo! And so then, the elites are gonna just totally laugh at us, right? Because we're not gonna do a general strike. They don't even have any class consciousness. So that's a really bad thing to call for on May Day. They should have called for Reclaim May Day or something. Use that, David Solnit, our old expression, whatever. Reclaim May Day. That's cool. That would have been better, Let's go back to that or something. But general strike, dumb. Anyway, so don't give up on it, though. That's what I'm saying. Go out there, have fun. Actually, it's good to have solidarity, to be around other people, even if you don't completely agree with whoever organized it or what is behind it. That's okay. Co-opt it. Take it over, turn No Kings into No CIA. No Kings, no John Brennan. No John Brennan. No Victoria Nuland, right? She's the one who actually negotiated what happened in Ukraine for a bunch of oligarchs, which are still reaming the crap out of us. But you don't see, when you're going around going, No Kings, and you're talking about Orange Man bad, and Trump. You can't see Victoria Nuland anymore. She's now teaching at a university or something. Same with John Brennan. But anyway, you can't see these other people, these real players. Palantir has been allowing and helping and assisting, even if they don't use their company name, software for targeting entire families, okay? Like, let's kill the whole family of these particular Palestinians using software provided by Palantir. And so many other evil, nefarious, horrible things that this is doing, this technological tech bro takeover. There's another more appropriate phrase, tech bro. Takeover. That would be more accurately describing something to oppose or resist than going around saying no kings, right? So that's all I'm saying. Let's don't just be bitter about this. Let's don't be defeated. Let's don't succumb to this infrastructure that has more resources than us, more momentum already going, all this kind of stuff. There's going to be a no kings thing, and it's going to be, a bunch of elders, a bunch of boomers coming down from the hills to walk around and act cute and then feel like they've done something good, feel like they've really done something, feel like they've really had a big day of protest, even though they really did nothing, right? They accomplished nothing, probably alienated a bunch of people. If they're, in fact, real working class people at my factory that are kind of looking to see what could they get involved with, they're not, none of them, I haven't seen one convert. I haven't seen one person who is independent, Republican, Democrat, whatever, working class, family from Modesto or somewhere like that, has rented a duplex apartment in Livermore or Dublin or something like that. None of those people have come up and said, I am really turned on by what I'm hearing and seeing at No Kings, right? Hasn't happened yet. So it's not working. And then in fact, they're like, yeah, I don't know. No Kings is weird. I don't know. And then the focus on Trump doesn't work for them either. So that's probably, but what the No Kings has done is just decided there's going to be a certain number of people who are going to hate Trump now, right? Especially since they've made him to be the whitehead pimple of the body politic, and it's still in front of your face. And that's globally. There's going to be a lot of people who oppose him, and now that he's willy-nilly at the control of Palantir, the CIA, and others, using directed energy weapons and kidnapping sovereign world leaders and bombing peace delegations and senior officials from other countries in decapitation strikes at the behest of Israel. Now that we're doing all this kind of stuff, and it's clear to see that the apparatus that is doing this is not Trump, but they're trying to make it like, so now you think the Iran war, and all the blunders that have so far happened and our purposeful chaos that's happening and death and destruction and ruination of the energy infrastructure of the planet right now, so that we can plunge us all into some kind of inflation-driven, crazy, global depression or some kind of thing, and then implement the digital currency or whatever the next thing is that they're going to whip out on us. They love to get you in a crisis state where you're not thinking clearly and then do stuff to you. And I think they were batting around some ideas, some viruses and stuff. But now they got the war. It's all good, and an energy crisis, maybe a cyber attack or something like that. And boom, good to go, ready to accept lockdowns again. Oh my God, not really lockdown, maybe just restrictions on travel. Look, we don't really have the fuel for you to drive your car anymore, plebe. You can drive it to work and back, and that's it. All right? We're monitoring you now. Everything's high tech where you're being monitored. You've already agreed to all that. So now we're just going to tell you, yeah, no, you can't do that trip to the beach on your day off. Sorry. The planet can't afford that anymore. We don't have enough energy. Got to use the energy for the data centers. Anyway, I've said too much. But turn No Kings into no CIA. Turn No Kings into no war. Make signs about Palantir and the Geo Group and Raytheon. Even if Raytheon, one of them has a D by their name. Oh my gosh, I was in Biden's administration. I was the Secretary of Defense for Biden as Raytheon. My name's Lloyd Austin, right? Go ahead and critique these people. Have a critique of real power. That would be really so cool, so refreshing. And stop dancing with the puppets on the cue of the real establishment. The real establishment is laughing at you while you go around and dance, wear your little, Burger King thing. Oh my God, I'm so powerful. The statement I'm making is so powerful against Trump right now. And then we're going to have a general strike, purely symbolic, and go home after the general strike and be less empowered than we were before we started it. It's disempowering to make promises and then not do it. It's disempowering to pretend you have a powerful directed coalition when you really have a one-off event. One-off events with no coalition building follow-up are disempowering. All right? So I mean well. I want you to do well. I love America. I love my friends. I love people on all sides of this story here. And if there's, gosh darn it, there's going to be protests, then let's have the protest actually mean something or do something. I have a feeling the general strike is going to turn into a lot of like just blocking traffic. It's not going to be like, oh, we're going to shut down the military economy, bro. No, they're going to block stuff. Some of it will be military stuff that gets blocked, I'm hoping. Some of it's going to be freeways, So once again, without any organizing, any messaging or anything, go right away and stick it in the front of the working class that has to just commute or just live or take their relatives to the hospital or whatever. Block them. That's kind of what the left's been doing lately. Oh, it's so radical, brah. Without any organizing or handing out any literature or anything, we just go right to blocking the freeway. Just get right on the block freeway. Block workers from traveling. Bad plan. The SEIU was able to use these roving protests in the past, nurses, because they were mobile. And they were doing it in San Francisco, and they had been doing organizing before. People were sympathetic to the nurses. They knew what their cause was, and they knew the nurses had already explored all the other channels to address their grievances and had been denied. And so there they were out on the street, taking it to the street and doing this roving mobile thing where they're really kind of able to disrupt the institution, as it were, the establishment. The man was unable to get around. But actually workers and stuff were kind of still, they'd kind of like, okay, now we've done our duty here. We blocked this intersection long enough. Let's move on. They move on and go and block another entrance point to the freeway or whatever, right? So they were annoying, of course. But they had a point, and it was strategic. And now, of course, after that, SEIU thinks, oh, yeah, of course, block traffic. That's awesome. Just go right to that. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm not super impressed with the organizing so far. Indivisible.org seems like a bunch of Berkeley libtards and super partisan Democrats. They're kind of acting unwittingly on behalf of the defense state without knowing it. That's what I'm, so far. I mean, I'm open. I hope it becomes something good. So far, it's quite lame. So let's take it and make it better. Let's don't give up. Let's don't quit. Let's get in there. Say, hey, we'll love the effort. No one's even getting out now. Everyone's afraid. No one's even getting out. So, people are getting out. That's good. And I want to enjoy your company. I want to be positive. I want to express love, share love. I got some hugs out at No Kings the other day. So as much as I hate that, in my lonely life, that was the only positive human contact I've had in a really long time. You know what I mean? Was out at the No Kings Oakland. Who knew? Because the old drum corps from San Francisco, some of those guys showed up, and I love those guys. So, anyway, get out there, spread some love, spread some joy, spread some better messaging. All right? I got to get off this, and you have a great night.